call meeting June 29th, 2023 to order. Mr. Moody, would you mind praying for us, please, sir?
Absolutely. Dear gracious Father, thank you today. Thank you for forgiving us, Lord. Thank you for your grace, your mercy, and your Son, most of all, died on the cross for us and for our sins. I respect you moving forward today, Lord, as they make decisions, as give them wisdom and guidance to do what's in the right best interest of our students, who for some this is the best they've got when they come here to see us, Lord. Thank you for our administration. Thank you for Angie and the passion she has for these children. Thank you to the central office and our teachers and all staff. And Lord, just be with our students wherever they're at during the summer, Lord, when we can't keep an eye on them. Thank you for all you've done for us. We'll do the best. Just want to pray. Amen.
I'll lead the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, do I have a motion to approve the agenda for today?
Yes.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay, reports and discussion items. Ms. Knight, personnel.
Yes, I have a list of personnel to share with you during closed session for your vote open session later.
Okay. Mr. Matheson.
I'm going to be Mr. Matheson.
Okay. Fiscal year
I'm sorry, when I made this, I didn't realize it.
athletic personnel contract.
I also will be bringing that to you in closed session.
Okay.
Personnel.
Okay, and Ms. Knight, field trips.
There will be no field trips on the agenda today.
Okay. Facilities update. Mr. Moody. This should be.
The main event. That's what we all came from.
Yes, this is good. This is good.
I have a copy of this, Mr. Moody.
If you'll pull out your bleachers report, we discuss what's happening to lead us up to this point, and then we're going to, then y'all will decide today, I guess, at 11 o'clock with the county commissioners. But just to sort of give you a quick history of what's going on. Go back to 1981, bleachers were installed, of course donated, which were not actually bleachers, best we can figure out. They were concrete on rafters or something, looks like some kind of bridge or supports. But they did the job and they did it well because they lasted over 40 years. Almost 30 years ago, of course, we resodded the field, completely took it out for muted grass. 15, 20 years ago, the press box was moved. I don't know if y'all remember what the old press box was. It was sort of a safety hazard, so we moved it to the home side. And then
And so Mr. Allison, I don't know if you remember it either, but it was above the visitor concession stand.
Yes,
Is that right?
Well, to the left.
To the left of it.
To the left of it. Yeah, you had to go straight up. And if I'm not mistaken, we probably had the only field that had the press box on the visitor side. Everybody has theirs on the
Right.
home side. So moved that over. Upper side was paved. It was not paved at that time. Of course, those houses were they're handicapped and wheelchair.
Let's go back up just one more, that 10 years ago, the top row.
Oh, yeah, sorry, missed that. 10 years ago, top rows were removed by a crane. Concrete part was in on that. Poured a retaining wall because of settlement issues, which led to paving the top part to help with that, just to stabilize it. And we've not had any issues really since then as far as that goes. 7 years ago, of course, we didn't have rails, so to make guidelines, we had rails installed, which was good. New scoreboard was installed as well. 2019, we had some significant renovations due to school safety issues, and things just need to be done. Bathrooms have been, we had the same bathrooms for 60 years, 50 years, how long we've had that field, and it showed.
They weren't handicap accessible, really.
They weren't handicap accessible, it was just, yeah, it wasn't good. Didn't high cut, didn't work. Anyway, visitor side poured concrete, set new bleachers up. We dug up the whole end zone close to the restrooms because it wouldn't drain. We dug a ditch, laid French, did a French drain, put gravel in there and drag it back up so it would all leave the football field. And of course, we resodded everywhere we had issues. We had, I think at the time too, we had to fix some of the sprinkler systems as well. We have artesian well below the lower ticket box that ran constantly, so we dug it up and cut through the pavement from there down to the child care area and run it into another drain, so.
And I will say that when I was there the day before yesterday, we're gonna have to do some more renovations because the front, concrete blocks on the front, left side, if you were looking at it, are bowed out. So, that's another.
Maintenance is aware of it.
Yeah, they are, yeah, we saw that the other day.
New fences around the football field, powder coating, new restrooms, new concession stand, renovated the cheerleading deck, installed new side steps. And we also poured every step on the home side, because the ones that were there were hollow concrete and they were shaking or loose when you walked on them, they would lose their balance. So we did all those repairs then. And a few years ago, we had new lights installed, and we poured some concrete around the lower ticket box because of the dangers of falling, and another area on the inside of the football field close to where the child care or kids place is at. 2021, stadium professionally inspected and repaired the issues found. At that time, there was no shifting had taken place there, so everything was fine 2 years ago. Maintenance inspects the stadium as well as other things around our campus. Even though it's not required, they do a good job, even being short-handed. Remember, we've got 3 out of 5 working. They periodically go through and check things to make sure things are fine. So back in the fall, during inspections, they were looking around and found the stadium home side bleachers had shifted. One section had dropped down. And you have pictures of this that were given to you last meeting. And we'll show pictures again during the next meeting with the county. Our guys, risking their own lives, jacked up the bottom of the bleachers and installed steel plates to repair it to the best of their abilities. Then contacted 2 companies to come look at the bleachers. One was a bleacher inspection company, repair company, and the other one was Ram Jack. It took them forever to get there, but when they finally did, they looked at it and said, "We're not going to touch it."
Excuse me, do you know when, did you say when that was done?
That was done, it started in the fall, and they finally got them here probably around Christmas or after sometime during the winter.
This last fall,
2022. So,
Fall
of 2022, yeah.
2022.
That's when they started noticing it and repaired it. But to the best of their ability. Once they finally got the 2 companies in, they wouldn't touch it. Finally, they called the engineer, of course, from the new county, got him here, drive the stadium, and when he looked at it, he deemed it unfit, which basically means he deemed it until we fix it. So we roped off the stadium to make it off limits to everyone until we find a solution, which we've been working on for the last 2 to 3 months. And of course, during this process, Jason Reno was involved, and of course, he did keep the county abreast of the situation. So that's where we're at. It's unusable, and continue to do so until we do 1 or 2 things. Looks like to me, either extensively repair it or take it out and put new ones in. So, and then we need to talk about this. It's circulating in the community. Moving the football field is not even an option. It's not on the plate. That's for somebody to discuss on down the road. Right now, we're looking to repair what we have. For number one, to have a season this year. It's not just about football, as I discussed earlier. It feeds financially all the other sports, including band, and of course, it's the biggest money maker for the county as well with their youth football. So that's where we're at. Does anyone have any questions?
I just have to say that I appreciate my maintenance crew. They have, they do a really good job around here. They are working short-handed right now. But even with that, they are just right on top of everything. They have crawled under there and put their lives in jeopardy to try to fix this, and I will not allow them back over there. I think that's a safety risk, and so it'll have to be, if repairs are chosen, that will have to be for somebody else. I will not allow my food back under there. It is too expensive and too scary, because those bleachers are, as you were told last time, they're all stacked on top of each other, and all the pressure is on those lower bleachers, and that's where we're seeing the damage. And so.
As you'll see too, when the engineer came back out second time, did more extensive research, it's worse than what we originally thought it would work. Nobody's even supposed to be on top of it.
As best I could tell with my magnifying glass, when I printed this
Yeah,
out.
yeah.
But it looks like we're gonna have to, I don't think our maintenance department could do that.
Oh, no.
As required by the
No,
engineer,
that
it's
is-
gonna require,
Yeah.
it's gonna require a certain kind of welder.
Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. And this is beyond the realm of what we're done with what we can do.
So we're done with what we can do, so now the commissioners have to.
So now when you guys, when y'all meet with them at 11, we'll do a kind of brief overview with the rest of their board that hasn't heard the history of it. And then we'll talk about what the engineer said, and you can all come together to make your decision.
How to proceed. Anything else? Make all of it.
No.
Doesn't hurt to ask, right? Yeah.
Is anybody got another answer?
Mr. Green, end of year budget amendments.
Okay, in front of you, I have budget amendments, and the ones that you have, I'll hand out another set when I'm finished with these. The ones I'm presenting now are the typical budget amendments that happen each month, or can happen each month, where a funding source, either the state or grants, may increase or decrease a certain source of funding. But anyway, I'll go through these quickly. First page here is State Public School Fund. First section there is PRCs 24 and 27. PRC 24 is disadvantaged student supplemental funding, and PRC 27 is teacher assistance. During the year, we had a staff member that was funded out of PRC 24 who retired, so that saved us some funding. We did the ABC transfer, moved some funds out of PRC 24 into PRC 27 to help with funding for our teacher assistants. So the amount that was available that we could move was $23,500. Again, we moved that out of disadvantaged student supplemental funding into teacher assistance to help with that particular program reporting code. Next section down is PRC 32, Children with Disabilities. We received an additional revenue of $13,538, and we budgeted that for supplies and materials. Next section down is PRC 56, Transportation. We received an additional $5,984, and we budgeted that for gasoline and diesel. Next section down is PRC 15, School Technology Fund. Received an additional $406 and budgeted that for supplies and materials. The next section down is PRC 63, Children with Disabilities Special Funds. Historically, this funding we've received through the federal fund. And PRC 14, which is called at-risk funding. Those funds were used for teacher assistance for severely disabled students that required one-on-one. Well, the Department of Public Instruction was a little late
Maybe about 7 or 8 months.
7 or 8 months in giving these funds out, at least to us anyway. So in an emergency, these funds were distributed through the State Public School Fund and PRC 63, which is Children with Disabilities. So the amount there was $92,896. And as you can see, that those funds are distributed out over the teacher assistance and the benefits. That provided funding for 3 teacher assistants this year. Next page, this is a budget amendment for the State Public School Fund. This is for PRC 009, longevity. As you know, we don't get an allotment for longevity during the year. We don't know what the longevity payments are going to be. At the end of the year, we do a budget amendment to cover those expenditures. In this case, this year, the majority of this is for longevity, but you also have retirees who have an annual leave payout. So this budget amendment includes longevity and annual leave payouts. The total during the year, at least in the state public school fund, is $176,542.
The longevity is included in your check, correct? Or it,
That longevity changed for instructional support, and most of those are your teachers and nurses, guidance counselors. Their longevity is included in their salary.
salary.
Right. Everyone else gets a longevity payment on their annual longevity date.
Non-salary.
Yes.
Well, some certified people, just, the only ones that have it inside their salary are instructional certified people that he mentioned. Everybody else, principals, central office, anybody outside of just a teacher or a counselor would, it still is a longevity check.
Once a year. Okay. Next page, these are budget amendments for Fund 8. Fund 8 is where we account for our individual grants that we receive. First section there is PRC 305, Medicaid. I've increased the budget there by $20,000 so that we can cover some additional expenses. We have an additional duty stipend, which is $10,000, and workshop expense, which is also $10,000. Now, the revenue, we weren't over budget in this Medicaid source of funding, but I only increased the budget by $20,000 to cover those expenditures. So we were definitely under budget for Medicaid funding. Next section down is PRC 443, pre-K fees. Increased the budget there by $15,586. The increase there was to cover some expenditures, as you can see there. Teacher assistants salaries combined there is $9,000. Workshop subs $3,000, and supplies $3,586. There was no increase in the revenue, but you have to increase that revenue to balance your budget. We were over budget in NC Pre-K. Those costs are increasing each year, but our allotment from NC Pre-K is not. Okay.
Why is it increasing?
Well, your salary and benefits are always increasing because of mandates from the state. So, next section down, PRC 664. This is STEM E grant. Revenue there. We budgeted just the exact revenue for the expenditures that we had during the year, and that's $7,100. $1,000 for workshop subs, and $6,100 for workshop expense. The last page, this is budget amendment for Fund 8. This is PRC 308, Impact Aid. And if you have a pen, I'd like you to write something on your copy, the copy that we will have Mr. Nelson and Ms. Knight sign. I'll have to make a revision to that, because the last 3 lines there, you'll notice in the description of code, there's no description. Okay? I didn't notice that until I read these this morning and go over them again. If you will, please, under section supplies and materials, just under that, if you would please write Impact Aid -7002. Just under that, if you'll write Impact Aid -7003B. And the next section, Impact Aid -7003D.
Is there any digits in there?
No. No. These are additional revenues that will be in the credit side.
Okay. I see.
The Impact Aid there, just to describe those. The first one's 7002, that's the funding we get for the land portion of impact aid. 7003B is students that are federally connected, funding we receive for that. And the last one, 7003D, is for students with disabilities that have been federally connected.
Do we not, maybe it's somewhere on here, but do we not have where, we used to have where parents worked for the federal government?
That's included in the 7003B.
Okay. Students.
Now, here, since our last budget amendment to impact aid, if you'll look at the credit column, the total at the bottom, these are additional funds we received since then. Okay, that's $226,928. And you can just scan through, you know, the debits there where I budgeted those funds. A significant one is for electricity, that's $80,000.
And that doesn't go far.
No.
I got my electric.
Okay, so those are the budget amendments that are similar to what I present each month. If you have any questions about those, because I've got more budget amendments to print, to provide to you, because these will be budget amendments to close out the fiscal year.
I've got this one already if we need extras. Yeah, you've already given, yeah. I think I've already got it. Thank you. Okay, now these budget amendments are budget amendments again to close out the fiscal year. These budget amendments do not increase or decrease any actual revenues or actual expenditures. Okay? The state requires us at the end of the year, and you've seen our budget codes before, the second section of the budget code is a 4-digit budget code, or a 4-digit number, and I'll show you a report how these budget amendments attain this requirement that we do not have any overages based on a purpose code number. During the year, we always make budget amendments to funds, different funds. You've got the state public school fund, you've got federal fund. We can't be over budget on those funds at that level. We also look at different program reporting code numbers, such as classroom teachers, you've got teacher assistants, you've got maybe gear up. That's at the level of program reporting codes, 3-digit number, you know that. But at the end of the year, the state has a requirement that based on purpose code, and you've heard me say this multiple times, and I've probably said it 3 or 4 times today, that those general statutes require that your budget, you cannot be over budget based on purpose code. Your budgeted expenditures, okay, have to be greater than your actual expenditure. So that's what these budget amendments achieve. And I'm not going to go over in a lot of detail, because really all it is you're changing your budgeted expenditures. It doesn't affect your actual expenditures or actual revenues. Okay. All right, first page here, you've got budget amendment to the state public school fund. And again, if you look at that code number, the third section there is a 3-digit. You'll see that those numbers change. This budget amendment is for the entire state public school fund. And you'll see that there are increases, decreases in different budget codes. The total on this budget amendment is $157,880. And again, all it does is just changes, revises your amounts on your budget codes and your budget amounts. Next page, these are budget amendments to the local current expense fund. There are two of them, I'll go over it individually. First section there is PRC 834, fines and forfeitures. We increased that budget by $15,000 because the actual revenue was greater than what we had budgeted originally. So you can see that those amounts are spread out kind of evenly through 5 to 6 sections there. Fines and forfeitures are funds that we received from the Clerk of Security Court. Next section down is PRC 835, for service receipts. The increase there in budgeted revenue is $70,000. And we had equipment that we purchased during the year through PRC 835, and that was for the bleachers in the elementary gym. Okay, so this budget amendment makes sure that there's no overage in that budget code for non-capitalized equipment, purpose code 6580.
That far as service receipts, explain that a little bit.
Those come from the U.S. Forest Service. Those funds go to the county, that flow through the county. If those funds are less than $100,000, we get 100% of those funds. If the amount is greater than $100,000, we get 80% of that funding, and they keep 20%.
And they're generated how?
It's Forest Service stumpage receipts is what it is for logging.
So that could change.
It does each year. It does each year. But for the last several years, it's been greater than 100,000. So the county's been able to keep a portion for themselves. I think they appreciate that. The next section down is this is Fund 2. This is the entire local current expense fund. The budget amendment there is $137,000, and you can see that there are budgeted amounts there for different budget codes. What that budget amendment there achieves is in Fund 2, we'll have no overages based on purpose code. Next page is budget amendments, year-end budget amendments for the federal fund. First section there is PRC 71, ESSER 2. And the next section down is PRC 181, ESSER 3. These two particular sources of funding allow us to take an indirect cost reimbursement from those funds, so because we oversee those funds. In this case, these two particular sources of funding, the reimbursement rate is 18%, so it's very advantageous for us to take this reimbursement. The total for those two is $134,622. Next page, these are year-end budget amendments to Fund 4, the Capital Outlay Fund. These budget amendments reflect the expenditures for the 6th grade lien. You can scan through there. Those are expenditures we made this fiscal year. We didn't know what those were going to be at the beginning of the year, so after all those expenditures have been made, we have to reflect the revenue and the expenditures for that project. Total there is $1,078,952.42.
What is the state sales tax coming in? I'm a little confused.
Okay, the sales tax, the way that works is that you have Article 40, Article 42, and Article 44 sales tax. All of those sales taxes are collected in this county. Okay, every county goes to Raleigh. All right, by statute, those distributions go back to the county. And by statute, there's a percentage that the county gets to keep, and a percentage that goes to the school system.
Do you know that percentage to the school system?
I do, but I don't have it memorized right now. I've got a spreadsheet that calculates that. So at the end of the year, the county, what they do is if if we didn't have projects such as the sixth grade wing or the school bond, we would be receiving sales tax, but that sales tax can be used for debt service on our behalf.
So we're about to get some debt service coming to fruition on the buildings.
That's correct. In
That bonds.
2006, we had a QZAC bond that was for 14 years. Those payments have been made completely. The school bond started in 1992 or 93, I think, and that was a 30-year bond, so those payments are almost complete as well. So we should be receiving some sales tax revenue through the county once all those payments are made.
I want to remind you, that when he said that that's a 30-year bond, that will also remind us that our new building over there at the middle and high school is coming up on 30 years. Not so new anymore.
We use that because Mr. Massey stated it's going to be paid off soon.
Well, within the next couple of months, maybe,
Right.
pretty soon.
You never can borrow any more money on that.
I don't think it won't.
I know, but we never have. It was just, that's what it was.
No,
It
that's,
was, was it not some of that
well, it was initially 20 years, and then
Yeah.
they spread it out over 30, so the payments would be less per year.
And we needed to do that one.
the county, that, yeah.
Well, the county and the school both needed additional funds.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we spread it out over 30 years.
Yeah.
We should, like you say, should be coming up soon.
It should be.
Thank you.
Becky Garland had given me those dates, but I've written them down there somewhere in my office, but it's real close to the school bond being paid off.
And you also want to remind you that there's parts of the elementary building that was built in the 50s. So do the math on that.
Yeah.
So just so that nobody can say I haven't said, we have got some major facility issues ahead of us as these buildings begin to age. We saw that when we had a sewer issue, and Mr. Moody's already talked about some of that, in an earlier board meeting, but we're gonna have to look at some, nothing lasts forever. So we're looking at some major repairs down the road.
And once that's paid off, what comes in, what's going to give us some relief will help with that, correct?
It will.
It should.
But those, these building projects are significant. You'd have to take a few years of sales tax revenues. We'll just have, that can be used in combination with other sources of funding, maybe lottery funds and, the.
I will also go ahead and say, as a reminder, I do think this board needs to think forward in the fact that we need to be looking at another elementary school. For safety purposes, we cannot keep that, there's no way. We see something, once a month, we're dealing with some sort of somebody on campus that doesn't need to be. There's just no way to secure the campus the way that it's positioned and the way that it, is so spread out. So I really feel like that we need to, of course, land is the issue. If we had the land, then we could really kind of move forward. There are some opportunities. Now that the middle school wing is completed, we will get more points on another capital needs building grant. When you have already one in process, you don't get as many points on the funding model. So we will be scoring in a higher tier, but you're gonna have some land in order to do that.
You have to secure the land first.
Well, you don't, but like you would be wise to. Once you get that money, you have several years to complete the project, but I just don't think you need to ask for $30 million and not have a place to put a building.
It would look better to have the land in advance, yeah.
Anyway, technically you don't, if you knew that like, you need to go ahead and put the application in and you were gonna make a land deal in 6 months and you knew it was coming, it would be a wise decision. But, anyway, I just wanna make sure that plant that seed, that's something we need to be looking, because you can start now and you may still be looking at 6 or 7 years down the road.
Have you calculated how much land we need?
You probably need somewhere around 40 acres.
It's 30, 40 acres.
Yeah. And not all of that has to be, some of that, if you had floodplain, you could do playgrounds, you could do parking lots in there, but as far as like, you probably need about 25 acres of, buildable space. And that's for the footprint probably to build up. you know, you may wanna build like a two-story something, you know.
That place behind 30 acres, but reiterate what she said as well, is in the elementary, there's some things that are not fixable there, it's a need. All we're doing is put band-aids to suffice to move forward. So the more money we put into that, the more money we're actually losing, we're not gonna get back out of it. So therefore, I'd say even more so, we need to be elementary school.
And, you know, this is discussions, it's gonna have to be joint discussions again, and we've been real fortunate that the county commissioners are open to listening, and I mean, they've got a full plate right now as well with the Justice Center and things that are going on with them, but just down the road, and it may be that there needs to be another bond referendum. You know, that might be the way to handle that, and at that point, maybe you look at a new elementary school and a new football stadium. That is down the road, you know, that is, let me say again for those people that are listening and those people that are here.
Thank you,
Today's
yes.
discussion is not about whether or not we're gonna move the football field. We're gonna have to get the football field we have playable so that those kids have a chance to play on that this fall. And you remember that, and somebody made a good point, and this week when we were meeting, the kids that were freshmen, you know, they didn't even have a football season. And so, I mean, so, you know, now they're seniors, so we really need to do what we can, you know, to make that happen if it's possible. So anyway, that's my soapbox. Thank you.
I have one more budget amendment. The last page, this is also a budget amendment for Fund 8. This is a year-end budget amendment for that entire fund. You'll notice in the code number column, you can scan down in the third section of that budget code. Starts as 001, and then you got 308. The total for this budget amendment is $151,500. You'll see there that we're just basically moving funds back and forth between budgeted amounts or budget codes. And what these budget amendments accomplish is by that North Carolina general statutes that and this is the last time I'm going to say this year, your actual expenditures cannot exceed your budgeted expenditures based on purpose code. Okay, and I'm going to hand out a report for you to look at. Everybody will get a single page. As you can see on this report, there on the far left, under account code, you'll see total for purpose code 5100. This report is condensed down, and you have subtotals based on your purpose code. You've got 5100 there at the top, and you can see how many purpose codes we've got. Now, there are a lot of budget codes within this.
Everybody has a different page of this.
They do. Everybody has a
So you're not all
different
gonna have
page.
5100 on top of it.
Okay, it may be 5200,
Right,
maybe
that's whatever you
5300.
got, yeah.
If you'll scan through the last column on the right, under your unencumbered balance amount, you'll notice there are no negatives there. There are no negatives. All of these last budget amendments that I presented to you moved around budgeted expenditures so that we have no negatives on this report. So that accomplishes that goal. General statutes, I said I was going to say it. But now I'm going to say it again.
Just keep saying it.
That the general statutes require that actual expenditures based on purpose code cannot exceed your budget expenditures. That's all I've got for the budget.
I just want to say, Mr. Green and Ms. Gibbs and Ms. Klein, you guys have worked so hard, and I know how hard, particularly the end of the year is for you. And you're done, and it was done a little early. And we appreciate that. You always have a good clean audit. You work really hard, do good things for kids and staff and community. And I really appreciate what y'all are going to do. Enjoy a few days, because when we come back after the 4th, you just open up a new set of books. So we start again.
That's right. Start all over.
Yeah, rock and roll.
So those are the budget amendments, close out fiscal year.
Do I have a motion to approve the budget amendments as presented by Mr. Green? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Thank you, Mr. Green.
You're welcome. Those pages you can either destroy or give back to me, whichever you please. I've got plenty of them.
Do I have a motion to go into closed session?
Pursuant to the provision of North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11, parentheses 3A, parentheses 3, and 143-318.11C, I move the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session to receive advice from Ms. Ellen Davis, attorney for the Graham County Board of Education, which advice comes within the review of the attorney-client privilege. The advice will be general legal advice about legal issues or legal matters. Pursuant to the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11C, I move that the Graham County Board of Education go into closed session for the purpose of considering personnel matters as defined in and allowed by the North Carolina General Statute 143-318.11A, parentheses 6, and North Carolina General Statute 115C-321.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? We are now in closed session.
So Ms. Knott made the motion and it was seconded by Ms.
Second by me then.
All right.
Okay, Ms. Knight, action items, personnel.
Yes, I recommend the following instructional teacher assistants: Aaron Hyde and Leah Crow.
Do I have a motion to approve as teacher assistants in the exceptional children, Aaron Hyde and Leah Crow?
I make the motion.
Second, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend that you employ Kanisha Garrison in the role of elementary teacher.
Do I have a motion to approve as elementary school teacher Kanisha Garrison?
Yes. I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend that you employ Kyle Marcus as the transportation mechanic.
Do I have a motion to employ Kyle Marcus as the transportation mechanic?
I make a motion, we employ Kyle Marcus.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I recommend that you employ Dale Farr as the high school high school track head coach.
Do I have a motion to approve Dale Farr as the high school track head coach?
Yes, I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend that for the following people for volunteers: Julie Moore, Peggy Hyde, Adam Wachacha, and then the list of volunteers for the athletic programs that is attached to your handout. And Ms. Conn, I will give you that list. There are several.
Okay, do I have a motion to approve as volunteers Julie Moore, Peggy Hyde, Adam Wachacha, and the list that Ms. Knight has given us?
Yes, I make a motion.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Okay. I recommend that you approve the given list of athletic and academic and band stipends with the exception of the boys basketball middle school coach, which is Jonathan Allison, which we will separate into a different motion.
Okay. Do I have a motion to accept the stipend list for the athletic, academic, and band stipend for fiscal year 2023, 2024?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
I recommend that you employ Jonathan Allison in the position of middle school boys basketball coach.
Mr. Chairman, I'll have to recuse myself.
Okay. Mr. Allison has asked to be recused. Do I have a motion to accept his recusal?
So moved.
Do I have a second?
Yes.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay. Do I have a motion now to approve for boys basketball middle school, Mr. Jonathan Allison?
I make a motion we approve the school boys basketball coach, Jonathan Allison.
Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? Okay.
Did you oppose it?
Somebody that has no authority.
Ouch. That's painful.
Okay.
Okay, so that's all I have as far as action items.
Okay. Announcements.
So we need to set the date for the next board meeting unless you want to come in on the 4th of July. That's the next scheduled board meeting.
You're not gonna be here.
It falls on Tuesday the 4th, and that's a holiday, obviously. So I would recommend that you reschedule that date. There are a lot of people take the week of the 4th off as, 12-month leadership meeting. I would recommend that falls to sometime the next week. That's the board's pleasure. I know that there's a conflict with July 11th.
Yes.
With a couple of
Yeah.
With me
I
and
got
Mr.
doctor's
Carringer. I gotta take care of him to the doctor.
Got a doctor's appointment the 10th, the 11th, the 13th, I've got an appointment, the 12th. Friday, could do Friday. 14th.
I mean, you could move it, I mean, I would hope that we can have it,
I could do it the 18th.
it will be super short. Really, all we're gonna have is, you will be, looking at the school handbooks. Typically, there is 2 minutes worth of changes in those. And then I will have 2 or 3 personnel names at most. And I do not anticipate any other board business.
As far as I know, I could be here in the morning, the appointment's not till 3:30, I don't know about your all's appointments.
So which day is this?
On the 11th, and I just have to go to Silver.
Well, the 11th is out.
What about the following Tuesday, the 18th?
I would prefer it not go that far because I'm trying to meet some deadlines with.
What about the
some
10th,
trainings.
Pam? What time's your doctor's appointment?
10:15.
Oh.
In Asheville. I could do the 12th on Wednesday, is that that's not?
Yeah, the 12th would be all right with me.
I don't,
I'm
really don't-
I'm really into that week to Mondays, but I'm got some traveling.
Yeah, I won't be here on that.
Doctor's appointment.
If it's quick, we can come at nighttime. Has anybody got nighttime problems?
Nope, just have to eat supper. I never.
yeah, I'm fine.
That might satisfy the second.
What
I'll
day?
walk around with this.
Could you do the 10th, the evening of the 10th,
Yeah, I can do that.
6 o'clock?
Okay.
Well, I'll probably be back.
Yeah.
I'm having a procedure done, so I
I could do late on the 11th. I mean, like 5 or 6 o'clock, if that works for everybody. But either one.
No,
We
that
love
would
you,
work
sir.
for me. No.
Yeah, love you, sir.
I'll be in
mean,
Asheville.
it's-
I don't know how long.
Let's just do.
Now, Pam, my bedtime's 9 o'clock. We could make it a little later than 6.
well, the last time I went to this doctor, I was sitting there and she said, I apologize that it's late, we just can't find people to work. And-
Yeah, that's,
And I was
Well, it's a
an
problem
hour
everywhere,
late
yeah.
even getting in to get the consult.
Looking at the 10th,
Can we do 5? Is that too early?
I think she's pushing it with 6.
Let's try 6.
Okay.
So-
I'll try to be here at 6.
So the recommendation will be July 10th at 6 PM in this room.
I should get
And
this.
if that's the case, I really don't think, but I'll change mine. So, it's okay.
I'll be on vacation starting that day, actually. Yeah.
I won't be here. I won't be.
But it won't, you won't be here that whole week, right?
You won't be here that week?
But I don't feel like there's anything that's gonna affect you. We have issues, they're not followed. I think we're good.
So 6 PM, July 10th?
That's correct. It's 6.
Well, you never know if I'm not here.
Well, Pam will behave. You might not
Hey, you were.
Well, I'm worried about Karen, John.
Let's do some.
Okay.
They put us beside each other.
At this time, I just want to remind you that we will be moving on over to the high school to do a joint meeting of your board and the board of commissioners. You never know.
Okay.
So are we continuing this meeting to that, or?
No, we're gonna-
That's what I thought, yeah,
We'll open
okay.
back up.
So we
Right.
Yeah, we're just going to adjourn.
Do I have a motion to adjourn? Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor? And we are going to the high school.